how to punish common beginner mistakes when you're sparring. There are so many reasons you want to stick around for this episode. So why watch this episode? You might be going like, oh, if they're a beginner, why does it matter if I can exploit the mistakes they're making? Well, this is just opens up so many ways. Number one, if you're a beginner yourself, you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm not doing anything Gabriel says today. Check it off. No, not doing that, not doing that, not doing that. This will bump your skill level so much. And I can guarantee you, if you're a beginner, you're making some of these mistakes. Because I've sparred with so many beginners and it's like clockwork, just opening up and landing on them. In addition, if you're more of an advanced fighter, it gives you ways to play around with how to create these openings. And these things that I'm showing you, yes, they work against beginners, but they will work against advanced fighters. It's just harder to create the openings. Sometimes you have to try again and again and again, but these principles of creating openings are always there. Before we get to these common beginner mistakes, I want to let everybody know that my next Strike Ready course, Takedown, which is going to focus on sweeps and from inside the clinch throws. We're launching the course March 10th, but right now you can get early bird pricing. I have a link down below where you can get yourself registered, save some big dollars before we get to this awesome 5-week course with 3 live calls with myself. So when I spar with a beginner, very often what I'm looking to do is to show them a technique and then switch up levels dramatically. For instance, I come in, I hit them once with a front kick. Next time I come up, I show them the front kick. I know they're gonna do one of two things. They're either gonna try and catch it incorrectly, or they're going to try and block incorrectly. So I come with the touch, and then the lift, and then just give them a little tag to the head. Of course, if you guys saw the thumbnail, you saw somebody getting plastered in the face. We're not doing that to beginners. We're just letting them know that, oh, there's a little mistake, a little tap. That's all we need to do. The next one that I like to do is I'll throw a straight shot. As I throw my straight shot, and if I see them overreaching, letting their hand come far away from their head as opposed to pairing in tight, or they don't hit and rechamber, they hit and push through, that means that I can fake here and then come around for a hook. And I don't even have to do it that fast because the time it takes for them to rechamber and all I have to do is 1, 2, that one is so easy. It's so easy to land. And you can either touch them once and then come with it, or you can just fake and then come to there. But either way, that's always open when somebody has a mediocre parry. The next one, which is so fun, which we'll actually get into in the sweeps and throws course, although we'll get much more detailed, is looking at somebody who has a very narrow stance. When they're fighting out of this stance, there's so many ways to exploit them. And one of my favorite is almost if they're like this, just to get straight in behind them and dump them to the floor. Yes, you could just kick out that lead leg, which is gonna cause them to fall, but I like getting in really deep, get that elbow or tricep right into their chest, and then just bury the thigh right into their hamstrings. And then from there, boop, and they'll just fall backwards. They'll fall backwards like they're a little kid that you're pushing over. That's a great one. Just look for that really weak stance. Now, alternatively, if they're in too long a stance or too wide a stance, all you have to do is tap the inside of this leg and they're gonna end up way out wide. And so all we have to look for is just something to disguise as I step up, and then I can either give it a bit of a blast, but I prefer, especially if I'm being nice, to just kind of touch it and pull it out. Sort of hook it and give it that little yank. So that's one as well. Look for that wide stance and just put them out in a wide split position. Now, if you want to be really cheeky to somebody and you're going, okay, this person is doing the one thing they shouldn't in terms of eyesight, and that is focusing on the technique that's going to hit them. So if you see them doing that, you watch their eyes and you're like, okay, every time I go to throw a punch to the body, they follow it, or they go to check the low kick and they follow it. What does that mean? It means that if you do something stupid, like put your hand way out here, they're gonna go, whoa. If you've watched enough boxing, you will see some of the greats, especially from the 70s, some of the guys, or the 80s, they'd be moving around and they'd be like, whoa, whoa, and then they'd come right in there. You can do silly stuff like that because this person will overreact to this arm just kind of windmilling around. And it's funny how well this works. right? You're just there. I've done it against advanced guys. You just boom, but usually I would go down to the body. I find that's the easier of the two. Or you loop here and then you launch straight down the middle. Something about that one really works. It shouldn't, but against a beginner, if you see their eyes wandering, it's 100% gonna work. Now let's talk about when the beginners start attacking us. What are some of the very common mistakes that they will make that allow you to exploit them? And how are some advanced ways that you can do that? Well, number one, what is the first thing that we always tell people when they punch? Other hand up, other hand up. So if you know they're coming forward and they're gonna have one hand down, if this, let's say Bob, he's coming forward with his left hand and he's coming with a jab, what do? I parry the jab, but at the same time, I give him that left hook. And that's something that's quite advanced, right? If you can be parrying and hitting somebody at the same time, or over even that like microsecond after, it's kind of like boom, right? Boom. You let them know. Oh, hands down. They come forward with the jab. Oh, hands down. So you're defending yourself actively, but also making them pay. Advanced thing for you to do, massive beginner mistake. Now here's a small element of something we're going to touch on in the takedown course. It's when we get into the clinch. And usually what I find the mistake that beginners make from the clinch is they get very heavy. They know they don't want to get thrown, so they think, if I plant my feet and I don't move, I'm gonna do great. But no, that's a terrible way because you always wanna be adjusting. So if I see this person getting super duper heavy on their legs, I know, I'm not gonna be able in one pull to off balance them. But if I can get their head over here, now they're in big trouble. So it's not me doing one big yank, it's me kind of going, whoop, and then a second, and maybe a third, and maybe on the third, I give them a little foot tap. You're looking for that ability to off balance them because they're trying to be stubborn and stand. Always adjust your feet. So I love falling into the clinch with beginners. Just sort of boop, 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 and tap them down to the ground. So I hope you guys had fun with this episode. When you go spar beginners, you have some new ways to just pick away at them in a very, very goofy, sort of fun way that is still helping you. And anybody who's out there going, oh yeah, I might be making those mistakes, sharpen them up. Then you won't have these advanced guys just finding these openings so easy. I'll see you guys back here soon for another video.